Okay, welcome to the Public Safety Building Committee meeting. This meeting is being recorded for cablecast and YouTube presentation by Area 58 Community Access Media. The video of this meeting is not to be considered an official public record. And I'd also like to take the opportunity to apologize for the snafu with last week's meeting. There was a confusion of start time with the cameraman. To bring you up to date a little bit, we did find out that the abutter to the townhouse property is willing to sell some land. The Board of Selectmen is still working on that. If anything goes forward with that, it will be done at town meeting and will be up to the town to vote for. We did, on the off chance that we do purchase some land, we did have some engineering plans drawn up. I can hold those up and you can take a quick glance at them. This is just a possibility. This is not a firm plan. Just a working option. And we will start tonight's meeting as well. And Mark and I also need to call our meeting to order.
Is that a motion?
That's the motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so it's 6:05. Okay, first on the agenda is approving the minutes from the last meeting. John did not get them out to us, so we will bypass that. And move right down to the consultant search. And Dale, are you ready to?
Yeah, we had 20 respondents on the ad, and so far, came out again today. And I sent them our basic request for service, request for proposal. I had a couple of conversations with a few who called for some additional information, and a couple of emails the same way. So I anticipate at this point that there'll be certainly a reasonable selection to choose from.
Okay. So the ad was placed again today. And this is the document
that's
that
what-
you and
That's what went out.
Harry, the chief, whoever came up with to,
Kind of collaborated a little bit on it.
this is what the companies have been asking for additional information?
Right.
Okay.
That copy of that and a copy of this plan, this site plan went out. This is the first one that was done with just the police station.
Just the police station,
I didn't
okay.
want to muddy the waters by sending out the additional one with the fire station at this particular point.
Okay. So this looks good. I think what we need to do is decide on how we want to progress with this. And my feeling is that we should establish a subcommittee of 3 people, so it's not a quorum, and have those people review all of the consultant files that come in, winnow it down to, 5 or 6, bring those to the committee as a whole, and then the committee will read them. The Board of Selectmen will be able to join us in full on the 17th, so we can have make our final decision at that date,
17th
the 17th of
February.
February.
Well, that kind of messes with the timeline I put in there, but that's okay.
Well, how does that?
Well, we're asking for preliminary cost figures by the 3rd of March,
That's late.
or March 2nd.
Second of March.
Is that gonna give us enough time to get to town meeting in time?
I can't imagine it's going to take more than 8 weeks to do this. And that'll be up to the consultants as to whether they figure they can meet the timeline or not. I'm sure they won't bid if they can.
That would give, from the 17th,
Well, from the 17th of February,
this-
it would be about 30 days for the cost. But again, I sent this out, I didn't send the 17th.
right. The 17th would be the date that we make our selection.
Selection of the consultant.
Yeah, so this is,
Exactly. And then that's not a lot of time between the 17th of March, the 17th of February and the 2nd of March for them to they have to take a look at all of this and cost it out. It's gonna take them a little bit more time
That's-
than that.
It's 2 weeks. Do you think they need more than 2 weeks?
Let's see who wants the job.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to change the rules after the game started for them, but we can do that.
Well, if we're asking, we can actually make the selection beginning what, February 2nd? It's
Wait a minute, no,
So-
March 2nd.
Yeah,
February 2nd,
second or third, whatever
whatever that
Wednesday.
Wednesday happens to be,
That third.
the 3rd. So why couldn't we
Which
do
is next Wednesday.
why couldn't we do the meeting the next 3rd, the 10th,
The
instead of the 17th?
Board of Selectmen,
Yeah.
the full board cannot join us on the 10th.
Does it require a full board to make this decision as to who becomes the consultant?
At
I
our
mean, Board
meeting
of
on Monday
Selectmen.
night, it was the desired for number.
Okay.
Well,
We're changing the rules after the
Okay,
game
then
starts.
let me make a suggestion. We move it from Wednesday night to a Tuesday night or a Thursday night. Instead of the 10th, do it the 9th or the 11th or whatever. I mean, we're not locked in on Wednesday nights.
Are you saying March 9th or 11th?
No,
No,
February 9th or 11th.
Oh, okay.
In other
Well,
words, we
to make
move
the-
it back a week and we change the night.
The respondents have until the 3rd.
Right.
The subcommittee needs some time to look over the 20 or 30 applicants.
Right, but they can start now. They don't need to wait until the
That's
3rd.
true, yeah.
They've got 20 they can start with.
But those 20 don't actually say anything.
Well, I
Well, the
mean,
first
depends
12.
on what responses we get between, the date closes on February 3rd. They all have to be returned electronically a week from today. And then, and I'm sure they'll be in at least, probably sooner than that, the
Okay.
ones that are interested, which I will forward those to whoever gets picked to do the subcommittee thing as they come in, and,
But to date, all of the respondents say we need more information. So there's,
some of them, not all of them. I mean, I've had 2 request more information, which is just to flesh it out a little bit.
I thought that actually all of the ones that you had sent basically asked for
No,
more.
I had 1 email and 2 phone calls out of 20 so far.
Okay.
I've got 10 of them so far, and I spent all morning online. And there's quite a few of them that you can just throw away right now.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Quite a few of them they won't submit
Yeah,
they
well,
won't
they
submit
just
a
don't have
proposal because
the
it doesn't fit
qualifications.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I said, you should be able to whittle it down a lot just this week, I mean, before we meet next week. That's, it's
I had two good
6 days.
companies. One was in Worcester, one was in New Bedford.
That's
One was
6
a phone
days.
conversation and the other was email.
So are you all saying that you think we can make our decision on the 3rd?
I think they should whittle, if 3 people, a couple that's retired, and Dale's here all the time, and if you could bring it down.
I think that we can. Like Harry, I got 11 of them. I did a quick Google search, checked their webpage, some of them included it. They've got portfolios out of the 11. I made a little spreadsheet. 7 have got municipal experience. 1 or 2 has specific police building experience. And some of them are very local, New Bedford, Boston. I think we could whittle it down and
Yeah.
come up with, honestly, in a couple of hours, if 3 of us sit down and go over it, I think we can come up with your top 5.
By next week?
I think if we have them at 8 a.m., by lunchtime, we can have a pretty good front load. It's just, depending upon what they submit, I don't know if it's a resume or what would they call that, Harry? Not a resume, but their statement of
Portfolio.
qualifications.
Portfolio, yeah.
Yeah, their
And-
professional qualifications and
Right.
and a portfolio to indicate that they can do it, plus they have to agree to meet the timeline.
You just want a preliminary. I think we could peel through those in a couple of hours and come up with whoever's on the committee, the 3 people come up with a consensus out of the 15 or 20 years, our top 5.
Okay, I will check with Christine to see if she can come on the 3rd. Are you available on the 3rd?
Absolutely.
Okay, so,
That's next Wednesday.
That's next
Yes.
Wednesday.
Sound good to you? I think we could pull that off.
I don't see
I don't know
any
who's gonna be on the committee. I'm probably putting a cart a little bit before the horse here. I'm willing to assist if that'll help.
Okay, who would like to be on the committee? Harry, would you do that? Bob? Bob would do it?
Jake said he would.
And Jake?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's be you three. I move that we have Harry, Jake, and Bob form a subcommittee.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm
Opposed?
more than happy to assist.
And you will call on consultants as you need them?
Yeah.
Question, this is not a quorum, it's a subcommittee. Do they need to post their meetings?
No. No.
Okay, good.
You want to start tomorrow?
I would work on more afternoons.
Afternoon's fine. Good.
Jake, is the email address I have for you still work?
292 Main?
Email.
Email.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure it doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen, okay.
In all
I
likelihood-
thought I had them all, and I didn't have the correct one.
Can you make it tomorrow afternoon? How you want to start? Here?
That might be a little fast, Jake. We gotta give them some time to get their statement of qualifications in. It might not be, you might
Yeah,
not
but
have them
we
all
can-
until.
We can eliminate the
I'd be more than happy to share this
Yeah.
with you.
And
See,
then-
see who submits what.
take the top 6 out, throw them away the first time we look at it.
Yeah, I think you're gonna find it pretty easy to
Yeah.
look down at your top 5
Yeah.
or 6 or whatever.
I think if you guys can make up some kind of chart, whatever, that lists the qualities that you're looking for and why you chose the 6 that you chose, so that, just so that you can present them to the committee clearly and concisely.
I'll also forward them to the chief, since he's one of the advisors on them, and I'll have them as well.
I think it would be good if you just continue forwarding them to everyone and,
Say about
In the
3,
committee.
3:30.
in the whole committee, and, or we're gonna charge them with winnowing them down. But, yeah, just,
I can do that, doesn't
I mean,
I think so.
I would like to look them over too, and,
We'll get a couple of hours that way and we can eliminate quickly.
well, what the heck? I don't think it would hurt to forward them. If
No,
we get to them, we do. If we don't, we don't.
Make better decisions when we make them collectively.
Yeah.
And Mr. Russo, you have something you'd like
I
to
have
share?
terrible-
Yeah, I just, a couple things that came up. One, last weekend, the Mass Municipal Association had its annual meeting. Mass Selectmen Association had their annual meeting. That whole meeting was actually about municipal construction, and it was directed at selectmen, at people that don't have a lot of municipal building experience. And one of the things that came up is this owner's project manager, which apparently was mandated in 2004. And the state requires on any building with an estimated cost of 1.5 million or more. I presume that we're under that.
Maybe not, we don't know.
Well, if we're not, the problem is, the rest of the state mandate, as I read it, is that the owner's project manager has to be hired before the project designer and before any design stage in all of this. So I'm just, if by chance it's going to be going over 1.5 million, I don't know where that fits in, sort of the timeline, and where it fits in hiring the construction project consultant. So I'm not trying to complicate this by any means. I did make several copies of a state document that describes the owner's project manager's guidelines, and it's got a whole bunch of pages of all the steps in construction in general. And,
Is that like a clerk of the works?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it probably is.
But he represents us.
Yeah,
Well, clerk of the works would represent us.
I made 5 copies. We can get some more made.
Bob probably needs.
Yeah, we'll print off a couple.
Oh, he has.
So again, I'm not trying to complicate it. The way it was presented to the Mass Selectmen's Association is that this person becomes your best friend, the selectman, because they're a selectman with very little construction experience, being asked to make all kinds of decisions, and that this is the kind of guy that can give you the pros and cons, and then even selectmen are able to make a thoughtful decision along the way.
My question is, the hiring of the OPM, I'm not positive, but I think it can be concurrent with the designer if the one you select is on the design firm that you select.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and it may be, and I don't know. All I know is in maybe the fifth sentence here, it says the law requires the OPM be hired before the project designer. So again, not so much to complicate,
It's
just,
difficult to hire the OPM if you haven't got the design ahead of time, because he is supposed to assist us in that whole process.
I think at least the way it was presented, and I understand it, is the OPM is the guy that has enough experience to help you hire a proper designer.
Yeah, the OPM comes as part of the bid contract. In
Okay.
other words, you're authorizing an OPM, and then you go out to bid. You know, so then you go out to bid, and the OPM is there to review the bids as they come in, and so on and so forth.
And I fully admit my total ignorance on this. I mean, I just want to make sure this piece
It's
is...
fairly new, like you said, it's 2004.
2004, and you know, it sounds like one more governmental regulation, but the people that presented were people in construction and municipal construction, and they were very clear on how helpful something like that was. So,
You're there to oversee the contract. Like
Yeah.
you said. We met the OPM
Down in
in the
Dartmouth.
Dartmouth
Yeah.
police station.
Do you recall that?
Yes.
Yeah.
so the consultant that we're hiring now is the stage before the OPM, as far as you're concerned, and the consultant might be helpful in directing us when we get to the point of hiring an OPM, if we need it.
Well, that would be, he
The
would
same
include
firms
that in
that
the
provide us
RFP.
with this consultant would also be one to provide you with an OPM if that were if you wanted to go that way.
Yeah, also, we wouldn't know if it came in over 1.5 million or under 1.5 million until we have the consultant. We don't know where it would be.
Which was, of course, the other theme in this meeting last week, is like getting this in the proper order is a challenge. And the other piece that came up over and over again is how much longer this whole process takes than anyone would ever expect. Maybe while I'm gabbing, the one other thing that we touched on a little bit last week, just a reminder that when we use funds from the Capital Stabilization Fund, appropriations from that fund require a 2/3 vote at town meeting, but only on the positive recommendation of each, the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, and the Capital Improvement Planning Committee.
Which is the finance committee.
Which is the Finance Committee, which just goes back to what I said last week, is, I mean, not only, I mean, if we go through this process, we're gonna have to convince the Board of Selectmen, but also convince the Finance Committee, and at least at this point, I'm not a member of the Finance Committee, but just in chatting with some of them, that is very much a stretch at this point.
Well,
That is convincing them to do the whole project this year.
am I under the understanding that depending upon a positive recommendation from the Collins group, if they recommend it, then the Board of Selectmen likely to support it, and then the Finance Committee likely to support it?
Well,
That's the word I'm getting.
I think-
I think you mentioned it at the last meeting that no one's willing to fully support it until we know what the Collins people tell us.
I think what the Collins people said in the initial meetings, and looking at their timeline to create a 5-year capital plan and overview of it, is what we've been discussing for weeks or months. This time is very short. They are just starting their process. Whether they're going to have a capital plan done in April with enough time to fit all this together is somewhat questionable. And at least in the initial meeting with those guys, they were floated pretty strongly their opinion that a somewhat slower way of doing this, but a rational way of doing it would be to vote for design funds at this year's town meeting and then vote for construction funds next year. Now, I know that the committee, and we've had this discussion very much last week and for a bunch of weeks, is a fair part of the committee just wants to get going on it, and I totally get that. But what I heard from the Collins group is that this is going to be really, really tight, and design money this this year, construction next year might be the other practical timeline. I'm not
You would
particular.
do design money if you were building a stick-built building, because then you'd have to have an architect, it'd have to be done under chapter 149 or A or 30B. If the consultant says that, that there's a modular solution that works for the same, then you don't have any design money involved in it, other than this design out here, which we've already done.
I understand that, and I think maybe what I'm saying is, again, what was said all along, is to especially to convince the finance committee, this is just going to have to be really, really pinned down. And I mean, I think we've been talking for months about how shrunk down the amount of time we have, and here we are, February 1st almost.
I did try to impress upon this Collins group that, every day that police department is in existence, it's a liability. And I try to impress upon them the importance of if they could expedite whatever they can with that in mind, would be appreciated. Whether or not they can, I don't know, but it's a big liability out there.
They understand it, I think. And
They do. We took them for a tour. I've been working with them closely the last couple of days. I've spent a lot of time writing and rewriting and exchanging emails, and we'll see.
If it goes to town meeting, do we have to have everything set in order to bring it before town meeting, or?
We have to have an article to construct and originally equip a police station with a dollar amount attached to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you have to have for it.
I don't think you need the interior design of the building.
Yeah.
Well, no, but you'd have that as part of the
Exterior,
construction, as part of the cost estimates,
Yeah.
you'd already have that.
As long as there's an exterior picture and location and a number. The number is going to be more important than anything.
Right, right.
All right, and the number has to include everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Include your furniture.
All right, so anything else on this? We're going to move forward with the consultant. We have our subcommittee. We've decided that the consultant does come before the owner's project manager. And we'll just keep moving along. Does that sound good? And at our next meeting, which will be next week, February 3rd at 6 o'clock, we will hopefully decide on the consultant. I will contact Christine Joy to see if she can be here. And just move it along. Does anybody else have anything else that they would like to discuss? The agenda is basically finished.
Thank you.
I guess I would entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Already? Make a motion, we adjourn.
You want coffee?
Bob didn't even wake up.
There's nothing definitive in this right now. That's what I was saying. This is just the initial responses.
Yeah.
Gail sent out this. Now we're waiting for a response to this, which will, individual companies that want to get involved with this, they'll submit their statement of qualifications or an equivalent to that. That's what we'll work on. Think of a resume for the company.
Yeah.
What we have so far is just their email and a snapshot of their webpage. And by looking at the webpage or their portfolio within the webpage, you can see that they've worked with municipalities or police
And we
buildings.
can have those tomorrow at 3.
No.
Well, we'll have
This
them
just went
as
out.
they just went out. I mean, as they come in, I'll just send them.
Yeah.
You might not have a stack of these out of the 11 I've seen, and you said you got 20. You might not
I sent
get
20 out today.
Yeah, can we get the balance?
Yeah, I'll try to
Like
see
I
which
said,
ones I
I've got
haven't
10 of
sent
them.
you. I'll forward you all those
Yeah.
emails are right in a row. I'll just forward you all of them. You'll get some of the old ones and some of the new ones as well. And the other thing to keep in mind when you're reviewing this is a lot of these companies that are responding to this are in the business of building stick-built buildings. They're not in the modular business, so they kind of tend to want to nudge you in that direction. But, I mean, again, that's fine, except now you've got, now you've got a whole different set of qualifications on the state level to deal with. It may end up being cheaper, because one of the things they find when they submit to the modular companies for these buildings, they, every time you make a modification or a change that you want to add to the building, something different that they're not used to doing, the price goes up. So sometimes that can get, can get to be almost as expensive as a stick-built building. But there are modular companies that do custom design. ModSpace is one of them. The police station we were in Dartmouth, those people do custom design. You tell them what you want and how many square feet of space for this, that, and that, and that's the way they submit it. A lot of regular modular companies, they just build regular modular buildings of different kinds, and they have them, it's stock for them, so if they have to actually start changing things, it can get expensive. So you'll see a lot of them pushing, and I had that today when I talked to them. And they weren't, adverse to doing it, I mean, but they were, they had a lot of experience in building stick-built buildings, mass bidding under 149A and all of that, which is fine. Except now you're into a whole different level of DCAM and architects and stuff that you may be able to avoid by building, by having a modular building.
Did any of them have modular?
None of the ones I talked to today. I mean, I didn't talk to too many. Actually, one did. One of the ones I talked to on the phone said that they had somebody on staff who was familiar, who had been doing that kind of thing, working with modular buildings. But I think a lot of times they think in terms of modular, in terms of panels. They built a senior center on Martha's Vineyard. Now, transportation costs aside, just to get it over there, they build panels. I mean, it's boxes, giant boxes full of panels. They put them on a barge and drive them over there, and then they unload them and take them to the site. And it's like a giant erector set, but it's made out of panels. We'd be dealing with where they actually, like that unit out there. They bring it in, and it's constructed off-site, and whatever, whatever, all of the rooms are laid out and all of that stuff, and then they just bring them in, lay them out on the foundation side by side. At least that's what I'm hoping is going to happen.
Dale, I have a question on here. You said all proposals need to be returned electronically by February 3rd. Is there a time on that?
You typically would give us most.
No, I would say end of business, which is before we meet, so.
Well, I was thinking
there
of
may be
I was
some
thinking of this
Well, if there's
group
some
that-
last minute stuff that comes in, that could happen too. And again, I'll forward them, and bring them in, and that committee can make a decision.
I think for the people on the subcommittee, just to be safe, maybe meet next Tuesday afternoon, and then we'll meet again before this meeting on Wednesday for any latecomers. So we'll be able to,
No, we're way down.
say again?
We'll be able to narrow it way
Yeah,
down.
we'll be able to hash it out, come up with a short list, and then if there are any latecomers, then we'll compare them to everyone else. I think that's the easy way. So I don't think there's any need to meet tomorrow or the next day. Let's do it like next Wednesday afternoon. We'll go through everything we got.
Tuesday
Afternoon, and then we'll check with Dale Wednesday, any stragglers, we'll, after the close of business, there might be none, there might be a handful, but we'll be able to hash them out in the meantime. If that's agreeable with you, gents.
Second. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'd be more than happy to given the chances, if the Collins people
Bring your
take it easy
stuff
on
and
me.
dump tomorrow.
Would any of the
Yeah, bring your stuff up
modular
and dump it.
companies
I'll
have
dump it and dump
a
it.
person
Take-
that would
Take a look what you got.
meet this
Yeah, okay.
requirement?
Just took the word right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I didn't
I
hear
mean-
your question.
They may, but this involves the site work as
Yeah.
well.
Right now.
Yeah, well, yeah. you
Site
will,
work is
and then we'll just go over
much of a
what you
strong
want.
point with them.
Where you don't want.
Although they do.
They contract that
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Under mass, under the procurement law in mass using modular buildings, you can add the site work as part of the contract. In other words, you can put that into the contract.
So, and would they be liable to read the ad
No.
page that this was placed on?
Modular people?
Yeah.
Well, they're not, I mean, I don't know.
I guess what I'm trying to
don't
get
think
at, we want to make sure that they have this information as well, so that if there is
Give
somebody,
them a shot.
yeah,
so. Yeah.
so that they can also respond, because if we want to be able to balance, to compare stick versus modular.
Modular usually don't do the whole
Might be worth
site.
facts.
That's the thing, they sell you the building in very few, I've never met a modular company that comes in and does a site.
But we don't
That's what I
know
was
if
thinking.
it's,
A lot of these people that we've got right now will probably end up contacting somebody like
Yeah,
Space
Mhm.
to do the structure.
The site work is the big thing, is if they're gonna.
yeah, I
and
just
then
want to make sure that,
And once
they
it
are
goes- once the
contacted.
per- Once the, once the consultant's on board, that's one of the things
That's
that
the
we do is, we'll,
You prep the site.
I'll
for
start
the
now, but I
foundation
mean,
and then
you get the
just set it
modular
on.
companies to come in and get them interested, and then you can put them in contact with consultant, can do the legwork on that, talk to them and say, hey, can you do this, can you do that, this is what, this is what we need. Because the chief's laid out a pretty good building, and there's a certain flow to a police station that you have to have.
Could
How
you
many
also,
electrical companies are there? I mean, how many are we dealing with in the state?
They're all over the country, not just in the States, so.
I mean, the company you mentioned, are they nearby?
Well, they have an office in Lakeville, actually, this company. They have an office in Lakeville, which makes it very handy to deal, on site with them, assuming their bids are correct. But they're in Pennsylvania.
The main construction warehouse?
Their headquarters is in Pennsylvania. Yeah, and they build in Pennsylvania.
could you give us a list of the ones that you have physically touched base with, that you've talked with, so we don't duplicate that?
Modular company?
What you've got so far from designers, project managers.
Oh, I'll give you the list I'll forward all the emails that went out, that this
Right, but you've
request
contacted
for service
someone,
went out
haven't you?
to. I've talked to two, I talked to one on the phone today, and two on the phone today, and one was email.
Just so we don't duplicate your references.
Yeah. And I mean, feel free to contact these people when you get the information. If you've got a question about what they do, just share it with the rest of the subcommittee, so everybody knows what's going on. But I'll send you the, I had a good conversation with a couple of people. And one is in New Bedford, one is in Norwell, I think, as far as
Yeah.
project management companies.
They're
fairly
they're
local.
on my list, yeah, those
They're
two.
fairly local.
Or either one of them have
And
modular
one is in Worcester.
experience, or Did either one of them have modular
Was
experience?
P3 was in
No,
Norwell.
Norwell.
it isn't.
Actually, I spoke to
They're one of
one
them that I-
today, they're in,
What's that one?
P3?
P3.
and they have, he was the
Project
one who told me
planning
we haven't
professional.
got, he's gonna get something to me. He was the one who told me that they have.
And is the
person
New
on
Bedford
staff
one
who's
in
done a
there
lot of
that he
modular
mentioned?
work,
I've got,
so, I mean, I don't know about municipal
Lexington.
modular work, but this guy's a former state senator.
I think
too.
McGuire's
I
at
recognize the
Providence, the
name,
name on
he
that.
called the names. Matt Amorello, he said, I spent a lot of time in Worcester, that name is probably.
Yeah, he used to be in charge of the
Newton,
Turnpike
that's
Authority.
possible,
didn't he?
ADM,
Right,
STV
and
slash
he works for this
DPM.
company. So anyway, he said he's gonna get something out to us.
Milton, but I don't think this is one we're gonna throw out anyways. And I didn't get any info on the balance end.
Do you remember the New Bedford firm? The name?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I'll check with you tomorrow.
All I know is it said two people who were in partnership, and they're both pilots, so they fly to their jobs. I said, well, it's a short flight to
Plumpton
Plympton.
Airport,
I'll tell you in 1 second here.
municipal airport.
This here is P3 project, this is the Norwell people.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, those are the Norwell, that's
Like
There's
I
the.
said,
Netco there, too,
I'm sorry?
Netco.
I do not have Netco here. Oh, yes, I do. They're out of Lexington.
Lexington, yeah. They did the North Brookfield police station.
Right.
I'm sorry, what was the name of that?
Netco.
Netco.
Netco Construction Project Managers.
They did the Ashburnham's Public Safety Complex.
Yeah, well, they've got quite a few
Yeah,
municipal
municipal
projects
stuff.
they've done.
And they did the North
North
Brookfield.
Brookfield, yeah, it's an 8,000
Police
square
or
foot
fire?
police station. Well, they've done more than that, but the police station's the only one
Mark, the one
They did a
is
Paxton Public
architectural
Safety
consulting
complex.
group.
Yeah, that's it.
As long as they
Nashville.
work with government
New Bedford.
facilities, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can't have somebody come in that doesn't know
Darcy.
what the rules are.
Right, yes.
In fact, I can
Free
forward,
sandwich.
what I'm gonna forward to the committee, I'll just forward.
I have,
just
my
the
brother
names of
lives
all the
in
companies I sent these
Brookfield.
to today, I can forward.
He and his
that
wife
to-
both work for the town of North Brookfield, and
Yeah.
they might have some.
Yeah, I just attach all the
Inside
emails,
information.
one bunch and ship them, and you
He
get,
knew,
you know,
he
you get the
wasn't there
whole
when the
thing.
station was built.
And those are the ones that, yeah, those are the
Supposed to get
ones
called
that went
back
out,
from
and then,
Just
Great.
wanted to find out how they
we can go
how
from
they
there.
worked out.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's really good.
But there should be a fair amount of response. I mean, what we're doing is just not unusual, but it's a little different where you're trying to, you're saying, okay, I want it modular, and I want an idea of what it's gonna cost modular and what it's gonna be stick built. And they built that company, the New Bedford company, just built a 6,500 square foot senior center, which is not, other than cell blocks, is not unusual from what we're gonna build.
Were they in Kingston?
No, they're in, this building was in Sterling. that they
Okay.
just built. And that came in at 1.9, I think, 1.9 million. But it was a stick-built building.
I called this CDR McGuire. I wanted to find out it's the company I worked for 20 years. But it's been sold
Really?
twice since I left there, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
So town meeting last year gave us 25 or 35?
25.
25. Sounds
25.
okay.
And they've asked, yeah, I mean, it's public knowledge
Mhm,
anyway, that
mhm.
the ceiling on the consultant is 25,000.
And will they all meet the ceiling, or will we be able to come in under?
You would, I mean, but that's obviously part of the bidding process, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, you know, if they want it, depends on who's hungry enough, but then you gotta balance hungry versus, you know, the expertise.
Versus
to actually
good.
do the job.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think it's an unrealistic amount of money for what we're asking somebody to do. In particular, and in writing a correct RFP to actually send out the bid, that's fairly extensive.
Yeah, would that
Document.
RFP include an OPM? I think it would.
No.
No.
Oh, yes, it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would for the final bid, yes, it would include an OPM.
So that should take care of that.
And then, and then it breaks, I mean, you could bid it both ways. There could be sub bids, and then there's whole rules about the sub bids, you know what I mean? But that's part of the RFP, and that's what the OPM does, watches out for you on the sub bids, to make sure. And some of the work will have to be done by prevailing wage or all of it if it's a strict built building. But the way I read Mass State law is that you can actually get the site work. Any siting work that has to do with a modular building can also be included in the contract. Now, whether or not they have to hire prevailing wage help, I wouldn't know. That's probably up to them, and they may very well have to. But when you're dealing in skilled, highly skilled kind of things like, laying foundations and doing forms and digging, excavating and all, grading and all of that, there really isn't much difference between prevailing wage and non-prevailing wage. They have to pay those people good money to get the work done anyway. So it's only when you end up with a job that requires a lot of labor, a lot of semi or unskilled labor, that it can get really expensive.
Right.
I don't know what it is. I remember what it was. I guess I think the prevailing wage for painting was like $58 an hour.
Can we get the president?
Well, we might want to ask them if they do it after it's done. I mean, but generally those things come through all done. Well, you saw Dartmouth.
Yes.
Pretty much
Yeah, but if we do the stick, then.
ready to turn the key and go to town.
Dartmouth was modular.
Yeah, modular done by ModSpace. I guess their chief just retired. The chief was telling me. But
Chiefly,
Yeah.
probably we'll want to go back there again just to see, what's.
See it finished.
Yeah, see it finished. I mean, and we're essentially asking. That's a 7,000 square foot building. We're probably going to be 1,500 square feet smaller than that. And where they had to remember it was an emergency for them. They had to get this done because they couldn't use their old building.
Yeah.
In our case, it'll just be the building, but then there'll be a nice roof line put on it so that it doesn't look like a bunch of trailers stuck together. None of them do when they're all finished.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? And adjourn the Board of Selectmen?
Was that a motion?
Yes, it was.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, talk to you, Bill.
Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Hope you're
about what,
watching.
though?
Hope you come to our meeting next week and any meeting
Well,
that you
yeah,
want to come to.
and that was a question that was.